Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, January 20th. West Coast trip has started. Warriors game will have happened by the time you guys listen to this. Games against Lakers and Clippers coming up. Got the Mavs at the tail end. 4-game road trip. Again, feels like they were just on one because they just were. And ironically, the West Coast road trip went pretty well. It's just everything since then has gone a little bit less well. But Celtics back out in California and then a little bit in Texas for the next few days. How you doing, Sam?
Doing pretty good. Considering they're on a West Coast trip and they play at 5 p.m., not bad. Not bad at all for a West Coast game.
Not
Can't
bad at all.
complain. Pretty happy with that. They'll be done by the time the football game starts tonight, too, the national championship. So, Sam can't lose today, except I might lose.
If you didn't just say they play at 5 p.m., I thought they played at 8. I had no idea. It wasn't even a part of my brain that they played at 5. So very good.
I would have been in the pregame, just the Will Smith meme, nobody in the living room with him.
Yes.
At least for 3 minutes until you've got the thing that the thing was live. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. We have a fun show for everybody today. We're, of course, going to talk about that game. So you know how it went if you're here already. We don't. You'll have to let us know in the comments what you thought of it. You can also leave a like. We'd appreciate that very much. And subscribe because we're here every single day. New content drops at 5 a.m. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And game recaps are up the morning after each game. So we're always here for you. We got you covered.
Yeah, actually pause the video right now and tell us what happened in the game because we don't know yet. Anyways, let's go talk about it right now. All right, we are here after the Celtics 125-85 win over the Warriors, 40-point blowout, bounce back after their rough loss to the Hawks. If there was ever the equivalent of those memes where guys get mad at a loss and go play a video game and just win by 1 billion points, that was this. That's what the Celtics did to the Warriors.
Yeah.
They blew them out. They killed them. They dominated every facet of the game. Some fun performances, some nice bounce backs. And then, I also think some interesting stuff that maybe isn't as amazing that we can talk about. But by and large, just exactly what the Celtics needed after, what was it, Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday night.
It's a good start. It was a game where one team played, the other one never got out of the fucking gates. They had the stretch of the opening 6 minutes or so, or however long Curry played, and then went out of the game. Once Curry went out of the game, the game was dead. The Celtics, to their credit, to the Celtics' credit, they did what they were supposed to do in the minutes where Curry wasn't on the floor. We saw them do a pretty good job of that. Oh no, Atlanta came back on Saturday, I think, when Young was off the floor, which is a whole different, they just didn't have a defensive weakness thing. But nonetheless, the Celtics took care of business today in that respect, which is good because they don't always do that. Overall, really good bounce back shooting day for a lot of guys. And, if you want to take anything away from this, that is what I think it should be. And not a lot of these guys had to take a high volume of threes. They took 48 threes in this game. Derrick White only took 4. Holiday took 3. Sam Hauser took 6. Jaylen took 3. Outside of that's probably a good average number for the guys that aren't really shooting all the shots. So overall, good shooting performance. The defense was pretty decent. Obviously, Golden State didn't have a lot of guys today, so that helped them out too. But it's what you can ask for in a single game sample size to make you feel better, I guess.
Yeah. No, they played well. I thought their defense was really good. Even when Curry was in the game, I thought they were just sending a lot of ball pressure. I thought they were rotating well. From the very few possessions, when I forget who was in the corner, maybe Gary Payton got a 3 in the corner. The way they were sprinting out to shooters was far better than the let's leave a guy open. It was okay, we're gonna come off of him, but then we're gonna get right back out there, which is I think everything that we've been asking for and people have been asking for in that aspect. So I thought they did a pretty good job of rotating, sending pressure, and forcing the Warriors to take shots that they wanted them to take, but also contesting those shots, which is the whole point. So I was very happy with the defense. I thought they played really well. I think they played Curry well. I think Curry missed some shots that he might usually make. I think some guys maybe miss some shots they might usually make. The Warriors got a lot of second chance opportunities, which maybe you don't like. There were a lot of tough bounces in this game, especially at the beginning. as many offensive rebounds or whatever second chance opportunities as the Warriors got, like I would say at least half of them were what the hell are you supposed to do about that? Which it is what it is. I thought the Celtics offense was good in picking their spots. I think this is the best, Jaylen game we've seen in a long time. I thought Jaylen did a really, really good job of I'm not going to overdo it. I'm going to get to my spots. I'm going to drive. I'm going to force the issue and take the shots that I want to take. He ended 8 of 14. He only had 17, 4, and 2, but I thought it was a good, not read the room, but this is what I do best. This is what I'm going to do, and nobody on the Warriors can stop me. So I was very pleased with how Jaylen played in this game.
Yeah, I texted you during the game, and I was just like, looks like he's shooting his jump shot normal. Jack and I on this show, before, like in the past, have talked about really looks weird when Jalen is obviously shooting in slow motion for some reason. He wasn't doing that today. He knocked down a three. When he took the three that he made, I didn't even look at the shot. I just kind of looked at the way he shot the ball. And I was like, oh, it's going to go in because he just shot a normal fucking shot. He wasn't fucking around with the mechanics. He wasn't doing anything crazy. And he was one of three in this game, but that is fine. I mean, one thing about Jalen is he usually does a pretty good job of reading the room. He's usually not taking upwards of like 7, 8 shots from three. He knows his strengths, like Jack said, and it was a good example of that. This is the first time in a long time I feel like we've seen Jalen go to work and just like get the buckets where he's comfortable doing so. And it wasn't like he has to do it on the fly on a drive and be going a million miles an hour. Like he was doing his crafty pivot game and getting good mid range looks, and that's fine. That's what Jalen was doing last year. That's what he did when he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP. And if the Celtics are going to get back to their peak, he's going to feel comfortable again. So if he's able to have a 14 shot day where he's doing just what he's good at, absolutely fine with me. I don't need to see much more.
Yeah, I agree. Kristaps was also great in this game. I mean, there was nothing the Warriors could do to stop him. He had 18, 7, and 2. He only played 22 minutes, but the starters came out. Like he didn't play the entire fourth quarter. So I thought, I mean, they just stuck him down low and said, "Here you go, bully whoever's down there." And then when the Warriors forced him out of that spot, he just took a three, and it was like the Warriors were a rec league basketball team, and Kristaps was just kind of doing whatever the hell he wanted, which was exactly what the Celtics should be doing with a matchup like that.
Yep, another game, another comfortable Kristaps day. He's looking better and better and better as the weeks go on, which is a massive positive for the Celtics. Do think the growing pains have something to do with him finding his footing, his wind, his feel for the game again. And as he's starting to do that, you're seeing more and more of these kind of wins sprinkled in. The game Friday, this is 2 games where he's played now in a row that they've just beaten the brakes off their opponent. Pretty great. Doesn't
Yeah.
erase what we saw on Saturday. I don't know if you saw this, Jack.
Hmm.
There was one man that could stop Kristaps today.
What was it?
So
Am I gonna remember
Kristaps,
immediately?
it has nothing to do with the game. So
Oh, yeah.
Kristaps gets off to this incredible start, and he gets the sideline interview in the first quarter. And Dennis Scott asked Kristaps what it means to play on Martin Luther King Day. A European white guy that probably didn't know who Martin Luther King is until he came to the NBA and still probably only adjacently knows of him. He had no idea what was going on. Go watch the clip. Very funny. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
laughing about this for like a half hour.
Yeah, probably not the best interview choice for that.
Just pick anybody else on the team.
Yeah. They could have done a better job, but no, I mean, Kristaps did a great job of forcing that. I thought this was it was a very low volume shot, but I thought this was a great. We're getting the normal Derrick White back. He only took 5 shots. He made 2 of his 4 threes. It was fine, but he had 8 points. He had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, a steal. Like this is the impact you want Derrick White to have. This is Derrick White. You have it again. Like finally, and again, need him to take more shots, need him to make more shots, etc. But the 3 blocks, the 5 assists, the 5 rebounds, it was like, yes, like we're finally seeing the D White that the Celtics need.
Yeah, I think the 2 big threes he made um, back on Saturday in overtime did a lot for his confidence. And again, being able to use him, like you said, in a low volume situation makes it a lot easier for the pressure to come off. It does make it hard to find a rhythm, I guess, if you're really, really slumping. But I guess if you're trying to build off something when you're actually feeling pretty good, you don't need to see a ton of shots. You don't need a ton of opportunities to get reps in. I actually think Saturday was like the perfect thing where he just had to take a lot of shots because they were without Al, they were without Kristaps, and there were just more shots to go around. So he didn't have the most efficient night on that day, but today clearly looked like he was more comfortable. He set the
Yep.
tone at the beginning of the game, like making his first one. So I think Derek is just so important for this team, man. And it doesn't help that literally everybody else has struggled during like Derek's specific cold stretch.
Mhm.
But once he gets his shit back, they are more apt to get back to the level everybody expects them to be at. And Holiday is another guy that
Played
he
well.
had a great low volume game today. And not to mention, none of the starters even had to play more than 28 minutes, which is really
Mhm.
good going into a 4-game road trip where you're playing back to back Wednesday, Thursday, and now they're kind of rested after a long travel. Holiday continues to look pretty solid. What is this? He played pretty good Saturday too. This is two pretty good games in a row for him.
Yeah.
And since he came back from his shoulder thing, I think he's been the most consistent role player on the Celtics. And again, they missed the consistency that he had last year. He's nowhere near the 60% three-point shooter from the corners, but he's getting there.
Yeah. A lot better. Good Drew Holiday game for sure. He had 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 or 5, 2 or 3. What did you think of Jason Tatum's game before I talk?
I thought Tatum had stretches where he was pretty good.
Okay.
He had a couple like really, I don't remember if the game was like blown open yet, but just really focused stretches where he was going to the cup. He
Second
was
half.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was, like, clearly stronger and faster than everybody and took advantage of it. He did have stretches where I felt like he was saying, "Watch this."
Yeah. This was so weird because through the first half of this game, Celtics were up by 15, right? Tatum was a part of it, and Tatum had 22, 9, and 7, right? He was good. He was objectively had a good game. Didn't shoot the ball the best, but it was fine. He had some of those moments. And Jaylen was a part of what I'm about to say too. It was both of them. It felt like there were possessions where when one of those two had the ball, it was either going to be they take a shot or they're going to get an assist. It is not going to be we're going to move the
I've had
ball to
my
get the best
career.
shot.
Oh,
It
no.
is we're going to go take a shot and or we're going to make the pass that directly leads to an assist, which is fine to a degree because that is generally how offense works when you have the ball in your two best players' hands. But when that led to offensive stagnation, which it felt like it was doing a little too often in the first, and it felt like it has a lot over the stretch, you noticed it a bit more. So again, they won by 40 points. It doesn't really matter, but like when those two had the ball like a few times, especially in the first half, it was just like like let's just move the rock a little bit better. Like let's just keep it going. Let's keep it flowing. Let's look what's working. Feed KP, move around, move off ball, like dump it in. Like it just there were a few of those in this game that it just like made my eyebrow raise up a little bit.
To the top of the team's credit, this is now the second game that Jalen, Jason, and Kristaps have all done a pretty good job of coexisting, too. The Orlando game, the big story was
Yeah,
all 3 of them had moments. All 3 of them took over for stretches, and
starting
they
lineup looking
propelled the
better.
Celtics. And
Yes.
that's really important because during this stretch where they've been terrible, the starting lineup has not been very good, and a lot has been made of that. And a lot has been pinned on Kristaps because he was injured and came back and disrupted the flow, which is true. But to see them all start to play, like you said, like in this game, Jaylen Brown looked like he was playing the best ball. He was just doing what he was good at. And listen, Tatum, I feel like Tatum is almost always going to have stretches where he's doing a little bit too much. He doesn't really turn the ball over, even though he had more than Jalen today. He doesn't consistently turn the ball over enough where it bothers me in that sense. It's just you see some of the shots and you're like, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like how even the best point guards are going to have a good amount of assists because they have the ball in their hands. Like guys like Jason and Jalen, because they are scorers like that, are just going to have shots, have possessions where it's like that. But it's just something that I noticed. Peyton Pritchard, sick, 5 of 10, 2 of 6, 9 assists in this game. He rocks. Al Horford good, Luke Cornett good. Sam Hauser can shoot. Sam, Sam Hauser can shoot the basketball. Let's clap it up for him. He's doing it.
Every other day.
He heard you. He heard you talking
On
shit.
Wednesday, I'll be saying this guy. I almost tweeted today that Sam Hauser needs the hook. I think he missed 1 or 2 to start the game,
Well,
and I was
he
like,
botched
just
that.
get this fucking guy out of here, man.
He botched that transition opportunity.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, it's just like, man.
Before we keep going, I do need to tell you guys about PrizePicks, which is the best place to get real money sports action. 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings. I pick more or less on 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000x your cash. Sam and I use PrizePicks on the pregame when we are not losing horrendously like the Celtics are currently, which has been, it's a tough stretch for all of us because we haven't played PrizePicks in a while because we're not very good at it. My roommate did pretty good on PrizePicks in some of the NFL wildcard games, so you can be like him and make sure to check it out. That said, basketball season is heating up. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. Like I said, you can win up to 1,000 extra money on PrizePicks. It also now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. So make sure to check it out. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
They just gonna bring somebody in here to like watch him.
Well, Jordan Walsh, you see him at the end of the game? Maybe it's him. He made a couple of big ones.
I might have fallen asleep in the fourth quarter a little bit on and off. I was on the couch.
The earliest game of the road trip, and Sam's already fallen asleep.
So what's funny about when I fall asleep and I'm like not trying to fall asleep is I'll twitch. Like I'll catch myself falling asleep and I'll like twitch I'll like spring myself back awake. So I must have did that like 5 or 6 times. So to be honest with you, I saw one garbage time thing and it was Shireman made a jump shot like towards the end.
He did. And I need this to be a formal announcement. And I have the receipts. I went on Celtics Lab a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago or 2 months ago at this point. And I vehemently expressed, I want all the Baylor Shireman stock. I think he's going to be really good. He's looked really good in Maine. I think he's going to be a great NBA player. Like, I think he's going to be a very, very impactful role player. And I said that there. And so I need this to not be, oh, look, he made 2 shots in an NBA game. I'm piling on. No, I need that to be my backup.
Okay.
I am, from what I've seen today, this was the final straw for me. I still love him, but I'm transferring my stock. I'm moving my stock officially. It's from Tillman to Shireman, man. I love Tillman. I love him. Like, genuinely one of the nicest humans I've ever talked to since starting working in this field. I think it was there. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if something happened. It's gone. It's like the way he moves on the court. Something's got to be wrong. Like it's not the same player we saw in the finals last year. It's not the same player that we saw in Memphis battle AD. Like, I'm transferring my on court.
Oh, he's also just not playing.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the way he moves. Like, and there is some general rust if you don't play. This is not that. This is
right.
It's just, it ain't there, man. Like I said, I love Xavier Tillman. I hope to God that I am wrong. I hope that he miraculously figures it out. But this is my official transfer request of my on-court developmental stock.
Turn your back on him
to Shireman. I love him. I truly like.
Got no choice. I got to turn my back on him.
Most amazing people I've ever met in this field. I promise you won't find a nicer person to talk to and a more genuine person to speak with. On-court stock, I have to go to Shireman. It's a very sad day, but it just ain't there, man. It's just not there.
I'll tell you what, Shireman could come for Hauser's spot. So somebody has to push that man to fucking play good because he's not doing it consistent enough. Today's not the day for me to rag on Hauser. He was fine today, but some of these games, man, just head in hands, head in microwave, wherever you want to put the head, it's going somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. I think we covered most of it. Obviously, great bounce back win. Like, they beat them by fucking 40 points. The Warriors look bad. The Warriors looked so bad. They were one of my duds from this game. Like that's how bad this was. That's where we
The
got
Warriors were one of the duds.
to. Yes.
I like
Yes.
that.
They had
You
to be.
should just use the cop out every time they beat somebody.
It was bad. I don't have anything else. You have anything else?
Next up, Wall. They got to play against the Wall.
The Wall. For some reason, my brain processed John Wall, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
But yes, the Wall.
they're gonna put him in there too.
Almost time for the Wall.
He probably doesn't like.
All right.
Celtics.
Let's jump over to the rest of the show. All right, we are back, and we're gonna look at some emails right here because obviously you guys have sent us some, and we didn't get a chance to look at them the other day because we just did a game recap for Sunday's pod because shit happens. We were busy. It got a little hectic on the Saturday beforehand. So we're going to go jump to those. Now, reminder, as always, you guys can email us at hbtcpod@gmail.com. That's hbtcpod@gmail.com. We got a couple today, both from Mr. RJ. First one, RJ says, the math on Walker Kessler. Morning, folks. Re-listening to this morning's podcast and wanted to put out some alternate math on why Walker Kessler makes sense. This is when we did the video on if they should trade for Walker or not. And I think, I thought no, and I don't know where you ended up standing, but
it's fine if they do it.
RJ
Fine if
said,
they don't.
Yeah. RJ said, first, I'll assume that the Celtics max offer to the Jazz is Springer 2 first-round picks in 1 second. Wow. If Danny gets in a bidding war going, Celtics should pull up. Boston has a ceiling for what they'll pay and don't need to cross that. Next, Luke is on a 1-year contract, and Al's contract expires this year, so the depth at the Celtics center is on a clock. As much as I have high hopes for Nemi and Watson to step up, Kessler is more than capable of playing 35 minutes a night at center right now than either of them, and that's the really nice thing. Kessler on the Celtics opens up roster spots going forward. This year, the Celtics are carrying 5 centers plus Watson in the G League because none of our current roster can bang in the post night in and night out. But the cost of that insurance is not having room on the roster for additional wing or guard depth. As to the value of the draft picks, the C's moved first rounders in the 25 and 27 draft. What's the value of players they stand to select? This year, the Celtics are picking between 27 and 30, and 27 we might be as early as the 23rd pick. Additionally, realizing return on a drafted player in Boston has taken years to materialize if you aren't named Tatum or Brown. I don't know what the trade, if the trade will go through, but I certainly don't want to see a Walker at any price sort of deal. But Walker Kessler seems like a reasonable player to preserve. Be well, RJ. I get it. I do. And I think Walker Kessler would be fine. I think there's a couple of things that I might disagree with a little bit. One, Luke Cornett being on a 1-year deal. Yes. If I had to guess, he'll be back because if there was ever a year where Luke Cornett could have capitalized on the value he gained into a larger contract, I feel like it would have been last season. I could be very wrong. I don't know things, but the fact that he still signed a 1-year deal to come back to Boston tells me one of two things. One, there wasn't a huge market out there, so he came back. Or two, he likes playing for the Celtics, and there wasn't big enough out there for him to want to leave Boston, right? Two, Al, yes, he may retire. Also may not. We don't really know. Al has made no indication that he would like to do that yet. 3, Kristaps, and 4, I think this is disregarding the fact that the Celtics would have to pay Walker Kessler. We have already had to talk about, what are they going to do in a couple of years when they can't financially stand to pay this ridiculous tax anymore, when it starts destroying their ability to make moves moving forward, when it starts, picking at the picks that you're mentioning where they can't use them in trade 7 years out, adding another $15-20 million salary onto that books. It's just a tough situation to be in. And that's what Walker is going to command on the open market.
I think those are all good points. I think the Luke Cornett thing's interesting because I think Cornett's played really well this year. So much, and he's clearly been the best of Boston's backups. The bench guys, Luke is above and beyond Nemi and Tillman, who's not even fucking playing. I could see somebody paying him like $10 million. The Celtics just can't afford that if he gets paid that. He might have said, let's run it back. Like, the whole team's coming back. I don't know what to think of that. Like, I don't think he's running out the door either. But I think he's been just as effective. Like, I think teams would be just as interested in him.
I know, but then why didn't it happen last year's my point? Last year he averaged 5, 4, and 1 on 70% shooting. This year he's averaging 5, 5, and 1 on 64% shooting. Like, what's the difference between last year and this year?
He's getting an extra rebound, idiot. That's why.
No, but you see what I'm saying? Like, what is the difference? Like, what is the extra market going to be? Why is he gonna? And maybe it is just
There
he
might
wanted to
have.
run it back. So
That's the
but
thing. Like, I think there was actually like a fair market for him last year. Like, could have probably went a couple different plays. I don't have sources. I feel like he came out and said something like this, but he just wanted to come back and play with it. Maybe I'm making it up, but he's somebody who could absolutely get picked up by another team if he wanted to leave. I just think he wanted to run it back. And we're at a weird part of the season now where the Celtics are losing games that they should win, and they don't look as strong as we thought that they would look. I think you have a lot more question marks around like the willingness of guys to come back and be like, yeah, let's run it back again. Like even like the Horford retirement thing. I thought to myself when we were talking about this, we really don't know what Horford's going to do. But if they crash out and like this is the way their season is going to go, I don't know if he's going to want to go do all this again.
for what it's worth, in training camp, Luke said there were some great options to go other places, but you notice, is there anywhere else I'd want to play with a different group of people? I feel like the group that feels like you're making the most out of what you're trying to accomplish and being able to compete at the highest level. He also said, I kind of knew the whole time it'd be hard to go anywhere else. I knew that Boston, in terms of what was available for us, was kind of limited, but to be able to play with this team, and my family's been here. So it just sounds like Luke wanted to be in Boston. And so maybe that will remain the same after this year, but I don't know if you heard that, because I think you were frozen for me, but
I heard that you were reading the quote.
Luke basically said there were options, but it'd be hard to go anywhere else because is there anywhere else where I'd want to play with a different group of people? He said my family's in Boston, et cetera, et cetera. So you basically just wanted to stay in Boston, which maybe that changes this year, but I don't know. I also, my biggest point though, outside of the Even Cornet thing, is just paying Walker Kessler with their current roster. They don't have room to pay anybody else, is basically the way I'm looking at it for the next X amount of years. And as much as it is not my money, whatever, like that is not how you can contextualize it anymore with the CBA.
It's hard. I know how the CBA works to a degree, like more than the average person on the street, but I still don't know that much about it. Like that's how complicated this thing is. What I do know is the Celtics have the ability, like they have all these cap slots. They could technically create another one if they wanted to, but the problem is, like Jack said, they're already so far in the hole. Like they would just be putting themselves further into the hole. It's a sticky situation. I think they're fine either way. If they go with Kessler, they'll figure out a way to like make that money worth it. It's just a question of if they think he's worth using up one of those more substantial cap slots on. Because I question the future of Drew and question the future of Porzingis a little bit. Not so much him, but just like, are they going to want to pay Drew $30 million going forward? Maybe not. Are they going to want to pay Kristaps that? Maybe not.
I mean, the other thing we have to consider, and this would be looking well into the future, and I'm saying well into the future. I guess it's even more in the future. I thought they're going to have to pay Pritchard eventually. Like they're going to have to pay that guy a lot of money. So yeah, we're really thinking about the long
future, but it is true.
And also the Walker Kessler thing, like I would rather a move for a guy like Walker Kessler to solve the center position be down the line when the Celtics are forced to trade a Drew or something like that, or Porzingis or something like that, and that be splitting up one of the current salaries rather than adding on. Because as much as, and even from a non-CBA perspective, like you heard the reason Wick had to sell the team, or like reported, was because they barely broke even. You're talking about adding like hundreds of millions of extra dollars onto something that is already like unstable. And even if you don't care about the pockets of the billionaires, which I personally don't, I don't care about the pockets, right? Whatever, pay the money. It is also just putting the Celtics in a dangerous spot to where if those billionaires feel like they can't pay the money, they will sell and they will, tank the team and they will like get rid of a bunch of pieces. So it just doesn't like financially make sense to bring another $15 to $20 million player onto these books.
Sure. If they were smart, they would just bet like all the payroll on championship, and then they would actually make 3 times the money.
Yeah, and then get sued by the NBA and thrown in Jonte Porter jail.
I truly don't think, just quick tangent, I really don't think you should ever get in trouble for betting on yourself. All right, that's the end.
All right. Next email from RJ again. Convincing win. Morning, folks. Good to see the Celtics win over Orlando. Now do it against Atlanta. Okay, well, that didn't age well. They did not win against Atlanta, RJ. Apologies, but you know that by now. So it's
that's what sucks about all this. Like listen, we don't know what happened in the Warriors game, obviously, but like it's starting to feel a little bit to me like 2019, where it's like I'm I'm not saying it's like that level of like disastrous, but it's at the point where the team had really great expectations coming into the season. And they can't seem to string together wins now. And there's no obvious reason why. Like, what has changed? There's just like this dark cloud.
I feel like that's
Well,
a bit dramatic. I feel like
it's
that's
not.
a crazy comparison. There's so
I
many
don't know,
differences
man.
between that and now. There's like infinite differences.
There are plenty of differences, but the feel I have of I just remember watching the games during that season, not thinking about like the personalities and stuff, just the team not being able to get out of their own way and losing games that they shouldn't lose. And you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, like, what is it? Like, when are they going to figure it out? And you're just sitting there asking yourself, are they going to figure it out? Are they going to figure it out? And then they just don't.
I feel like
It's been as much time bad as good for what it's worth. Like, it hasn't been bad the whole season. If they don't figure it out soon, they're going to be really in trouble.
Sure. I will say, let me see. Well, let me do some quick maths first. Celtics have played how many games this season? 40, 42. So
Yeah.
what?
They were like 16-3 to start the season.
Times 82. So the Celtics, as much as they have struggled, are still on a 56, 57 win pace. They won 49 games in 2019. It's a little
Really?
different.
That few?
It's also not like the whole thing with 2019 was we have to integrate these brand new people that didn't play at all last year, and that is taking away from what we established last year.
And we have 2 big free agents looming.
Yep, and that could not be any more different from what is currently happening with the current team, who have the exact same roster, presumably the exact same roles. You know, nobody's a looming free agent, so there's not have to worry about that. They also have the backing of we've seen what they can do in the playoffs literally 6-7 months ago.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's like I get it from a frustrating perspective, but I would compare it more to
That
like
that's
the
what
start
I
of
feel.
20,
Like
the start of 22 than 2019. Like they're just losing games they shouldn't, rather than the complete blow up of the mentality of the roster.
I don't know what expectations we had in 2022, like going into it though. I'm trying to think because they had just come off like they had a really mediocre season the year before. And like they got Schroeder, they got Josh Richardson that summer. And I personally like those moves, but it wasn't like I don't know if we thought they were like a championship level team going into that season.
I think the difference is maybe in hindsight, the 2019 title expectations were lofty considering how bad those personalities fit and everything going on.
Yeah.
I think these are still sound regardless of their recent struggles. I don't think these should, like, the championship expectation in hindsight for the season will be, oh yeah, those were, I guess that team shouldn't have worked. It should work.
Oh no. They can never avoid those. Like those are valid expectations. We just saw you do it. You can't pretend you can't do it. We just saw it.
Exactly. And I need to take a second to tell you guys about Gametime. Gametime is the best place to buy your tickets. It's the best website to do it. And use code CLNS if you'd like to use it. And we're going to jump right over here and look at a game that is topical for me because I was just watching the replay of a Duke game. Cooper Flag's coming to Boston, and he's coming to Boston in like 3 days, which I didn't even realize. He's going to be at BC this Saturday.
Yeah.
It's this
What
Saturday.
time is the game?
It is at 8 p.m. So,
oh, that sucks. Because
yeah, it is very late, but
do the ad read.
yes,
I don't need to derail the ad read. Sorry.
the cheapest ticket is also $150, so it is quite the pricey ticket to get in there to see Cooper Flag. But as you can see here, I know it's the cheapest one because it tells me on Gametime with a little flame emblem that is labeled cheapest. These stars over here give you the best deals. That's an amazing deal right there. This is a great deal right here, so it's not quite as good. This is an amazing deal. You can also see the view from your seat on Gametime on the app and on the website as well. Obviously, I'm on the website, but it's great on the app too. You can see everything from your seat view to the exact price you're going to pay because it tells you the exact price instead of hiding fees towards the end of checkout. All of the best features are in the Gametime app. Seat views, like I said, curated deals, on-time ticket delivery, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, all this great stuff. then make sure that you are getting the best deal possible when you're buying your tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Anyways, next thing, let's jump over to NBA standings, see what's going on around the league. Cavs still up top in the Eastern Conference. Celtics still in second place despite their slide. They're still 6-4 in their last 10 as well, which is funny to see in the standings because the Knicks are 4-6 and they're still 2.5 games behind the Celtics. Then you got the Bucks, Pacers, Hawks, all of three of whom are relatively hot. Bucks won 4 in a row, Pacers 2 in a row, and they're 8-2, and the Hawks have won 3 in a row. Magic have slid into the play-in. The injuries are finally catching up to them. 3-7 in their last 10. Heat, Pistons, Bulls, rounding that out. Then you got Sixers, Nets, Hornets, Raptors, and then the Wizards, who have still not cracked the 10-game win mark and are sitting at 6. So
it's pretty good. Pretty good tank job by the Wizards so far. 6 wins in January. Good work, fellas. I didn't realize. I mean, listen, I know how close 10, let's not say 10, we'll say 9 through 5 are, but I did not realize Orlando was in jeopardy of falling that close to, the play-in.
yeah.
And here they are in there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, every time we look at these standings, it does put in perspective what the rest of the East is going through at the same time. Like, there's not a lot of elite teams out here right now playing great ball. The Cavs, by the way, who I cannot believe are like this good. I have never been so wrong. I thought that they were dead last.
I was wrong too. I was wrong.
I remember like there were all the reports from Shams that it was like Mitchell wants either him or Garland, and they fired JB Bickerstaff, and we both thought the Bickerstaff thing was fucking stupid. We didn't think the Atkinson's hire was stupid, but we thought firing JB was fucking dumb because they just lost a playoff series where one of their starters was hurt, and they played the Celtics. Like, there was no shame in losing to the Celtics last year. It made no sense to fire the guy. Now they're out here just rolling everybody, I guess, and everybody's playing well. They added Strus over the summer, which was a good signing for them. And they just have a bunch of guys that can shoot threes. They saw that what the Celtics did last year, and they took it. But, man, hand up, very wrong. And even coming to the season, you said it too. Like, we both were like, they were like, whatever. Like, watch out for the Knicks. Watch out for the Bucks. I thought the Pacers would have another good season. I thought they'd really care about the regular season. Nope, it's the Cavs. The Cavs were the team I thought the Pacers would be.
Yeah. And then out west, Thunder 35-7, still sitting up top. Rockets, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, filling out the top 6. Mavs, Wolves, Kings, Suns in the play-in. Then the Warriors and Spurs have fallen out. Spurs are falling behind a little bit. The curse of being a young team. Blazers, Pelicans, Jazz, leaving the Wizards in the dust as the only team to not have won 10 games.
I don't envy the Western Conference teams, man. That 5 through 11 is a dogfight. I guess in both conferences now, you do have that. You do have it where it's so volatile. You lose a couple games, and you could be on the outside looking in when the play-in comes around. I suppose that's what the goal of the play-in was supposed to be, that more teams felt like that they had a chance to be in. I guess they've accomplished that now because we don't really look at it the same way we did like 8 years ago, where it was like, oh, okay, well, probably 1 through 5 have a chance to compete, if that, depending on who is at the top. Because 8 years ago it was the Warriors, and everyone was like, well, the Warriors are just going to win every year. Now it's like, well, I don't trust any of these teams except OKC, maybe Denver, but even Denver is like fake Denver, or like the Temu version of Denver now because they've just taken pieces out of their team to be cheap. Lakers Clippers last night for the first time at Intuit Dome. Very cool. The Wall made its presence known. Ty Lue was shouting him out. He was like, it was nice to play the Lakers and actually like feel like we were playing in our own arena, like our home arena, like where the Lakers were getting booed in the pregame introductions, and like it didn't feel like it was just another home game for the Lakers. LeBron, none too pleased. LeBron, as always, has no help, Jack. He made sure everybody knew that after the game. We're all trying to find the guy who did this. Jovan Buha tweeted out the quotes from the post-game availability from LeBron yesterday. And again, LeBron says he has no help. He was asked if the Lakers can give themselves more margin for error. And he said, nah, that's how our team is constructed. We don't have room for much error. And then they followed up about mental demands of trying to play at that high level of intensity every single night. And LeBron says, we don't have a choice. I mean, that's the way our team is constructed. And we have to play close to perfect basketball to win games.
What did you expect my reaction to be to this piece of information?
It's just same shit, different year. This is why I do not believe he is somebody that I would want to pay $50 million to.
Why?
This is where it gets you every year. This happens every year. Every
what
year.
What should his answer have been to the question where they asked him if they have margin for error, and he said no.
If they can give themselves more margin for error, I would imagine that means like playing a style of basketball where you are, I mean, not doing what the Celtics are doing either, but trying to just dig in as much as you can and control as much of the controllables as you can control, instead of being like, we don't have help. Like LeBron, you don't have help because all the money is between him and AD.
So, okay, fine. But then what should he have said with the answer?
He should have said, we have to do a better job of controlling the areas of the game that we can control. I'd imagine the margin for error question is about shooting. Because
are you sure? What was the context of the question? I need to know the context of the question.
I didn't watch the presser, but I can tell you that the Lakers didn't shoot well yesterday because I did watch some of the game. The Clippers just exploded on them in like the second quarter before halftime. They blew it open. In the third quarter, too, they were just running them.
All right. I don't care. Like, I don't know. Like, sure, maybe LeBron. I don't have a beef against
every
LeBron.
single year.
This doesn't matter to me.
He's using his media availability to take shots at the front office when he is heavily influencing moves every year. You talked about when we were talking about the Celtics, like, and it's very true with the Kessler thing. Like, a move like that has implications down the road. The moves that the Lakers make are robbing them dry in the future. And then the future comes and they're like, he's like, how do we not have players? Why do we not have players? It's because every year there's pressure to make moves for mediocre players at the deadline. And then when you have those guys in the future years, you're like, I need more help. Why do you have those guys? Because you were like, I need more help.
Sorry, I'm trying to listen to the question that was asked about the margin for error.
Fair enough.
Well, let me listen to what he's saying.
You've been telling us that the margin of error is small for a few years now. Yep. Are there ways it can be bigger internally?
Bigger or better?
Can you give yourself more margin? Are there things that you can do some nights to make it easier?
No,
just gonna be
it's not.
All right. I don't know. Cool. The only reason that I would start shitting on this is if I didn't like LeBron or I cared at all the way he acts, and I don't. So I don't have a response to what he's doing because I don't give a shit about what
I would not want this on my team.
Okay.
Luckily, and I would not want to spend $50 million on this.
Luckily, Celtics aren't.
They're not, but it's just, we talk about this all the time. Like, this is a bad thing. Like, this is bad.
Sure.
He's a vampire. He's literally sucking them fucking dry. Which is fine. Like, fuck the Lakers. I don't care.
They paid him the money. Like, you want him to give back?
No.
And then what do you want him to say?
When he negotiates these contracts and he's taking up almost half of the fucking cap.
It is the Lakers' job to decide who they want to pay and maximize their chances of winning around.
It is.
They decided they wanted to pay. They decided they wanted to pay LeBron that money, and then they have done a shitty job of maximizing the rest of the roster because of that decision. Yes or no?
Partly yes.
What do you mean partly yes?
He also has the option to take less money. Like, this is
outside of the one Jaylen Brunson example that happened. That doesn't happen. Outside of the literal like 1 in a million thing that was a giant story because it never happens. That does not happen.
It doesn't happen in this league.
Players in the NBA take as much money as they possibly can. Point blank, period. That's the end of the sentence. That's the statement. That is how life works. Like, I don't think it's fair to criticize LeBron James for taking the money that they wanted to pay him.
I'm sure if he was like, I'll take $30 million instead of 50 to 60, they would have been like,
And
yeah.
that would have been very noble. And I would have said, that's cool. It's a very cool thing you're doing. Like that is great. And it'll probably help the Lakers. But I am also not going to criticize and say, what the fuck is wrong with you for taking money and accepting money from $1 billion corporation team, whatever, that is willing to pay you the money. I'm just not. Because that's not a thing
It's
that
a
happens
layered
unless you're
thing,
Jalen
though.
Brunson.
You have to know with that money comes this, where your team is mediocre.
Sure, fine. But
And then
that's
to go
not
up
how it
there and
has
be
to
like,
be.
oh, our
That's
team
not how it
is
has to be.
constructed
That's not
this
how it has
way.
to be, though. But that's not how it has to be, though. Because they're like, look at what did the Nuggets do? The Nuggets paid Jokic all the money. They paid Murray a ton of money. They paid Porter a ton of money, and they still found a way to add pieces around to win a championship. The Celtics pay a million guys $1 million. There are ways to
But
pay
those teams
multiple
are built
guys.
differently.
And whose job is it to build a team?
Well, the reason why those teams are built that way is because they're built from homegrown stuff. But LeBron
Sure.
joins a team knowing he's joining a team, and they don't have his bird right, so it becomes more
We can
difficult
just agree to
do that.
disagree, because I see what you're saying, and there's a little bit of that, but I think putting the majority of the blame on LeBron when it is the Lakers' job to build a team around the max contracts that they're paying, which is the job of every team, and every team that wins a championship has to do that. Sure, some are built differently, but that is how it works. Like
A lot of
LeBron
the
sucks.
way, a lot of the way, not the current CBA, but like the ones prior to this that put more restrictions on all the, like, how there is a benefit to having your own players rather than taking other teams' players has to do with him, because he started I want to go play for this team, which
When was
is
the
fine.
last team? You're right. So when was the last team that managed to win without having the homegrown contracts that gave them more flexibility?
It was the Lakers.
So
But
they
it was
can do it. So that they can do it.
No, they did win through those homegrown contracts because they used them to make the moves to bring in
Yes.
the players that filled that salary, because they
Yes.
had the
You're
caps
right.
made.
And then the roster around the two guys who weren't homegrown just magically also appeared, or was that something that they had to do to build around the contracts that they had?
I'm trying to think of who was there.
It was Kyle Kuzma, it was Alex Caruso, it was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And then what happened to those players?
They left because they didn't pay him.
Correct. I can see how
mean,
that would be a little frustrating when the roster that you won
Kuzma
with,
got
the
traded
team
for
doesn't
fucking
resign.
Russ because LeBron wanted that.
Stupid. Yeah, that was the Lakers. Yeah,
They
sure.
were literally about to
You
go
can
get
blame
Buddy Hield, and then they traded for Russ.
Sure. Yeah. I don't want to argue, because there is nothing that you can possibly say that will make me like stop believing what I believe, and there's nothing I can say that will make you stop believing what you believe. So this is just going to end up in us yelling at each other for another 10 minutes.
That's fine. But the what I am saying here, which I don't
Sure.
feel like you're not really like letting me get to the point,
Okay.
is he elects to take the big paycheck, which is going to tie the team's hands, and then be like, well, our team isn't built the right way. I need more help. Well,
Sure.
yeah, you're the one that's like, it's your fault.
And what
He has a significant influence in the way the team is built.
I get it.
Which is always ignored when we have this.
Sure. But there are teams around the league who find success paying top guys.
There is one team in the NBA right now that has the fucking player pulling the strings, and it's this one.
Okay.
And then the player has the fucking nerve to go out and be like, our team isn't built the right way.
Okay. I don't care. I don't give a fuck about LeBron. I don't care. I don't care at all. Not even the littlest tiny bit. I don't care what he does. You can hate him all you want. I don't
know
care.
how long we've been talking about this, but I finally was able to say what I was thinking. It's
Sure.
on me. Like, I cannot put my
Great.
thoughts together.
I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, there's not even a 1% part of my heart. You could expand it the way the Grinch hearts fucking spans in the fucking Christmas movie, and not one instant, not one shred, not one valve would give a fuck about LeBron James. I don't care.
Sure. Okay, don't care.
All right, Jimmy Butler wants to go to this. Brian Windhorst said that Jimmy's number one focus is getting traded, preferably to the Phoenix Suns. Everything else is secondary. not getting traded to Team X, not getting traded to Team Y, getting traded to the Phoenix Suns. And so anything that you want to bring that's rational, if it doesn't mean getting traded to the Sun, Jimmy's not going to be interested. And that is the way he is operating. The thing that is what Bontemps has been saying for months is that Butler's best move is to focus on playing. I think that is on the table, but not until after the deadline. And so that's one of the things that he can do in the back of their mind. I think this is the stupidest shit. Like, why the Suns? Why? Why is that the attractive situation? I don't think that would be.
I think the Suns suck as a situation, but
yeah,
if you're
that's
a
what I'm
guy
saying.
I think he just knows the Suns want to pay him, so I think that's why it's attractive. Because
Yeah,
we've talked about this a lot, and like my fear about this is I just don't think there are that many teams around the NBA that want to pay him. Not to jump back on the LeBron thing, but like it's for that sort of reason.
sure.
Because they know that Phoenix is a great example of like a team that was built without their own players being absolutely handicapped and hands tied behind their back because they have no more money to spend on other guys. And if they get Jimmy, they're going to be in that same situation. Jimmy's going to get a year older. KD's going to get a year older. Booker will still be in his prime, but they'll have nobody around them. And like you say, why does that make any sense? The only reason why is because Jimmy wants to make money. And that's
which
fine.
I get. Like, yeah, I get. You want money. You want money. That's the way the world works.
He better not come out and be like, we have no help. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that he's full of fucking shit.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Suns would be a shitty situation. I think it's completely like weird that or just like improbable that they could figure it out because like the Beal thing makes it hard. I don't know.
The Beal
man.
thing was just
I don't
always
get
a
it.
dumb move by them.
Yes, by the Wizards and then by the Suns for trading for a guy with it. Yes.
Yeah. Which is, I guess, why the trade to the Suns happened, because they didn't have many options of where they could actually send Beal to.
Exactly.
I respect the franchise for trying to respect the player, like putting that in the contract. Like Washington, Beal was there for a long time. Doesn't mean it's not a dumb move, but like I can kind of understand why they did it.
Yes, I agree. So
the problem with that now is I feel like no trade clauses used to be a thing. Like KG had one when KG played for the Celtics, and he had to waive it to go play for the Nets. I feel like during that time, like it was more realistic because players didn't really force trades. Now, players just sign contracts to play in the NBA, and then they decide where they want to play mid-contract. When the guy has the no trade clause, it's just all the power now. So it's ridiculous that they did that. The Jimmy thing, good luck. We've talked about this all season. If it's going to be Phoenix, it's going to be Phoenix. Phoenix is going to be a mess. Houston's another team that makes sense. There's been no mention of Houston this. The feeling on Houston from those in the know was that they really liked the pieces that they have and they want to see what they have in these guys, so they aren't in a hurry to get rid of any of them. And if that's the case, then they're not going to make a strong push for this. The real thing that is the takeaway here is Miami's going to get nothing. Even though they're going to get something compared to if he just leaves, they're still going to get nothing in terms like this is going to be a trade that people will look at.
Or they're going to get put in hell for another season. Because if Jimmy listens around and says there's no offer, he goes, all right, I'm going to opt in, but I still want to get traded. So
yeah, that would suck.
You can try to get more value, but I'm here and you got to pay me $52 million until next summer comes along and there might be more teams to pay me.
I feel like there needs to be something to in the next CBA, if the guy opts in, he can't hold the team hostage. Like you opted into the contract.
They gave him the contract. They put the player option. They could have not given him a player option. Tough.
Correct.
Like,
but the thought at that is he's choosing to come play for your team, not just
I get that too. I mean, I think we think of the player empowerment shit differently. I know you completely hate it, and I get it to a degree, but
I understand. Like you have $52 million in front of your face, you want to take it, but like there's an understanding with that comes you have to play for the Miami Heat, and you relinquish your free agency.
what I'm saying is we differ on whether or not we think it's okay for a player to request a trade, and I think it's fine. Like I'm okay with it.
I think the league is different now, where it's just like that's just kind of how all the transactions work now.
Well,
is
I
request
think the
trades.
context for me is like, and obviously I don't know everything. I encourage people to go read Ramona Shelburne's article because I think there's part of it that might be Jimmy overreacting and stuff and being dramatic and they shouldn't be doing it. But I also think if the Heat treat him like shit, he should have every right to say, "Get me the fuck out of here, fuck you." Just like I get there's a contract, but like part of the contract should be don't like treat me like shit, right? Like I don't like I think back in the day,
Would you like to
organiza-
highlight what anecdotes are in there
sure.
about
I
it?
mean, I can pull it up. I mean, it's a long article.
Okay. Well, whatever like you remember offhand.
I think there was part of it where like Jimmy didn't get a game check for like 10 days because there was like a mistake in the Heat accounting thing, which
I see.
I mean, like shit happens, it's a mistake, but Jimmy was pissed. I know there was stuff like from defending the Heat's perspective, like Jimmy stayed in the 2023 finals, Jimmy stayed in a mansion like 30 miles outside of Denver by himself, not with the team, which is like, what the fuck, bro? So like there's that.
That is a little weird, but wasn't I feel like part of that was supposed to be tied to his father.
I don't know.
But the mansion part is weird. I don't know.
Well, the father was the 2024 playoffs. His dad passed away this past year. This was the 23 finals against Denver.
I thought
They're
I saw
talking
something
about.
that in the 23 playoffs he was taking separate flights because he was trying to spend more time with them.
I don't know, but I think his dad passed away this past year.
I
'Cause it
know
was
he
in.
passed away, but he still might have been sick before that.
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there was like the whole thing Ramona Shelburne detailed was the Heat always had a way of doing things that was very like dictatorship, which is how they ran it. Like they didn't give Wade a ton of freedom. It was a reason why like Wade left for the Bulls because they didn't pay him. When LeBron left, they didn't pay Wade. They paid a bunch of other people and not Wade, and Wade was pissed. So he went to the Bulls and they were like, we don't want to do that again. So they paid Jimmy and made a bunch of exceptions to Heat culture for Jimmy. And then once it started being like, okay, what the fuck? And they started getting back to it, Jimmy was like, okay, wait, what the fuck? And it was like a whole thing of two personalities that think the same way, which like if you're Jimmy and they come in and they treat you a certain way and then they revert back, I'm not
change
happy
up.
from Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing if I'm the Heat and I think he's taking advantage of it, which is why I think it should be both sides should be able to have some power in the situation instead of just you play for the team, suck it up, fuck you, right? And I get part of that is they pay you to do it. 100%, I agree with that. But a part of it, like the contract shouldn't be we pay you, you have to deal with everything no matter what. Like that's the part that I think it's okay for players to have more power than general.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I've changed like the way I feel about the trade stuff. Like the trade stuff happens a lot now. Like it's the norm. It's less of like a personal thing. Like when they want that, it just feels like the time is up, and it actually feels like a lot of times when it happens, it's a benefit to the franchise because they're getting stuff back, like whatever. The real situation where I have a problem with it is when the guy opts in and is like, trade me. It's like you could have just left.
Yeah, I get it.
And the Jimmy thing is a mess. Like, good luck to both of them.
Yeah,
I don't think Jimmy's going to get the money he wants, and I don't think Miami's going to get
do.
much back for him.
I think we'll get the money he wants.
Unless it's Phoenix. I really don't think somebody's going to be like, take all our money. And if they do, they're stupid.
I was going to say you underestimate how smart teams are around the NBA. Anyways, next thing. Pistons might want to be buyers at the deadline.
Yes.
This is from Jake Fisher of the Stein Line, says Pistons are, quote, considering becoming buyers. It's once considered a certainty that Detroit would look to absorb over the team's contracts for draft capital, either in a salary dump or to help facilitate deals. Now the Pistons are considering the concept of becoming trade deadline buyers, according to sources. These, quote, appear to be more preliminary and evaluative conversations. How any methodical and pragmatic front office would look at all the avenues that the market presents. So my question to you is, what should the Pistons buy?
I'd have to look at like the lengths of contracts.
Or should they buy?
Stuff. I think they should buy if it's the right thing. Like they shouldn't go like hypothetically trade for Bradley Beal, because that was like floated out there as like, what if they take this contract on and like a Jimmy trade, like where Beal has to be offloaded? First of all, Beal wouldn't go to Detroit. I think if they're able to find somebody that kind of fits in with their window of trying to compete, like where Cade is on the rise, they have a couple other young players like Ivy when he gets healthy, if he's ever the same player again. And Sar Thompson's been pretty good on defense this year. Duran's a force in the paint for them. Like they have a nice little young group of guys. If they're able to fit in and find somebody else, like let's just imagine Houston, right? Houston's got all these guys, and they kind of have a surplus of young guys that they probably can't have real roles for all of them going forward. Like if there's somebody there, maybe you go and do it. I don't know if you're going after a big name though. Like I don't. Levine's like not even like the worst thing because I can see if you're like not asking him to do everything, but I think it's too similar to the Bulls situation where like he'd have to do too much. He wouldn't be like a third option. He'd be the second option. He'd take the ball away from
Well,
Cade.
I guess, but he's doing that right now. Like he's having a phenomenal season as a first/second option right now. No,
Yeah, but the Bulls aren't winning.
I know, but that's because the pieces around him as the first and second option aren't winning, and pieces in Detroit around him as a first/second option, I think would be. But then again, you would have to get rid of Tobias Harris.
And I also think that anytime you can add more shooting is good. They certainly could use that.
Mm-hmm.
They failed to close out the comeback against the Pacers because they just missed shots. And I don't think they should take away minutes from a guy like Sar Thompson who cannot shoot that well. He missed a couple big ones in that game, but just look at a game like the one they had against the Knicks last week where shooting won them that game. The Knicks blitzed Cade, took the ball out of his hands, and the dish was going to Tim Hardaway Jr. and then Malik Beasley, two guys that teams have to close out on. Those were both off-season additions. Like if they're able to get more and more of those guys, they will be more and more competitive.
So you think shot creation is what they should look for?
No, I think maybe you benefit from somebody else that is going to take a little pressure off Cade. But I think if you can just I don't know what the exact answer is. I gave you a long answer of nothing. I think they would benefit from adding the right player. I just don't know exactly who that is with who is available.
What a bold statement. I think they would benefit from adding the right player.
It's hard because it's a tough line to walk because you have players that you don't want to like cut off their opportunity.
I know. But I'm saying, do they need another guy who can have the ball in his hands? Do they need another shooter? Do they need another big man? Like what like if you had to build your own player in a 2K lab of what would help the Pistons, what would you pick?
To be honest with you,
is it a secondary shot creator who shoots really well from three and can have the ball in his hands when Cade doesn't need it at the two guard because I
think something like that. Or even if it's a short-term guy that just kind of picks up the slack of like not having Ivy.
It's funny because without the context of contracts, I literally just described Zach LaVine to you.
Yeah, but
so many words. I know the contract ruins it a little bit. But that was the bit I was running. What about like a Colin
basically
Sexton
like the dilemma I have with the LaVine thing is I don't even know if the LaVine thing would be bad if the arc of Ivy is hurt, but he's going to come back, and you don't want to have a problem when he comes back.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get that too. LaVine's under contract for this season, then 2 more with the player option on the end. What about like a Colin Sexton?
Sexton would be an interesting one. He would be an interesting backcourt mate for Cade because he has like a defensive fire that he would bring too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I hate that.
So he's averaging 18, 3, and 4 this season on 48, 42 splits, shooting 4.6 threes a game. Again, 41.6 is a career high for him, but he shot 39% from 3 in each of the last 2 seasons in Utah. So it's been somewhat consistent, his 3 ball. If you wanted to make a trade happen, you could get there. It would have to be, I mean, if you wanted Utah to take on the Isaiah Stewart contract, I don't know how eager they are to get rid of him, but he only makes 18.3 mil. And so you could get it by trading Hardaway or Isaiah Stewart in the deal and then just absorbing the rest of Colin Sexton's contract into cap space. So it could be either of those guys and then maybe like a first or whatever. So it'd be pretty good. And then as far as contract wise, one, I think Sexton could be a bench player when Ivy came back. So him being on a multi-year contract. wouldn't be in the world. But 2, he is under contract for just this year, next year, so it doesn't even have to be that big of a long-term thing. So I really like Colin Sexton.
I think that's a good pick. Good pick.
All right. There we go. Anyways, Ratless saying, what do you got?
Ratless of snow. Snowed yesterday. First thing I did today was go out there and clean up the snow. It was fucking terrible. I was only out there for probably like 20 minutes, but I hate it. I despise shoveling. I despise being out there when it's cold, not like moving around. It's a little different to go out for a run when it's like 28, 30 degrees than to be standing there using the shovel. Granted, I am dressed differently. Don't worry, I'm not out there in running clothes. I was in a jacket and everything. But man, I just hated that I woke up knowing that I had something else I had to do before I could start like my day.
Yes. No, I feel that for sure.
Do
All
you
right,
guys
I
have
need
to clean any
Ratless.
snow where you're living?
No,
Nice.
we don't do anything. I also don't have my car, or I do have my car here. I actually need to move it. Ratless, the parking people. I got a ticket on my car the other day.
Really?
My inspections expired and it was parked on the street, so they just.
Dude, my inspection was
Dinged me.
expired. My friend told me. Got that taken care of right away.
I know. I need to go today or tomorrow because I'm cooked. I don't even know where I can go though, because I'm like a new place and I haven't gotten inspected around here before. So I have to like call around and bring it to a place. How long does it take?
Not that long, maybe like an hour. You probably like bring it to
Okay.
a place, go get something to eat, come back.
I'll go walk around. I'll do my steps.
There you go.
I need a Ratless court here, the VAR. So,
All right.
my friends and I do our Bozo parlay every week, right? Which is there's 6 of us. We all pick a pick on the football games that week, and we put it in a parlay. And if it wins, we all split the money, etc. And we just like go out and use it for a night out, right? And the way it works is whoever has the worst pick is voted Bozo, and that person is placing the bet the next week. So whoever's voted Bozo puts the parlay in, spends $10 of their own money, and that is the Bozo, right? So my roommate Mike created the standings, and put the standings together with our records, and I'm gonna show you the records that they have put together, and I want you to tell me your thoughts on. I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to show you the standings, and I'm going to have you share your thoughts on what you are seeing, and the people in the comments can also do the same. So this is our records. I have not had a great season, but these are our records.
It's not up yet.
I know. I'm going to tell you. What are your thoughts here?
Okay. Well, you have the least bozos.
Yep.
But you are
tied.
also the worst picker.
Correct. Now, I want you to look at something a little closer. Look at the records and tell me if the order looks correct to you. So, for those in audio platforms.
So it goes by win percentage, but the dude that is.
But what? Finish. Yeah, tell me exactly what you're thinking in your head.
The guy that's 8-11.
Mm-hmm.
With 4 bozos.
He hasn't played as much. So let me ask the audio listeners: 9-14 or 8-12-3?
But you've pushed 3 times.
Correct. They are counting my pushes as losses, which I have been arguing all morning. Doesn't make sense. They have been counting my pushes as losses, as in 0. I get nothing. That doesn't count at all.
I see.
Now,
I see. Yeah.
My argument to that, which I don't think could be any more wrong. The only time we have won any money this season, I don't know if you can still hear me because I see you're fighting the internet, which this kind of puts the Ratless court on pause because I need you to give your thoughts on the court. So I'm gonna also pause here for a sec. Oh, you're back. Welcome. I stalled
for now.
My whole thing is, so we have won 1 week this season. We've only won a single week, and I pushed that week. So we didn't win as much as we could have, but the only week we have won is a week that I pushed. And so counting pushes as a loss means we would have won 0 money. because that's not how it works. That's in no other sport or anything else does a tie count as a loss. That is not how life works. That is not that isn't
You
like that.
get like 1 point instead of 3.
Exactly. Even if you want to do it soccer, yeah, exactly like that. 1 point instead of 3. Like, and in a lot of cases, it's half. It's just half, which I didn't even like fight. It can be 1. That's fine. But we had been fighting in the chat all morning because Brian, who is 9-14, says it should count as a loss. And my response to that was, okay, fine. Then we can send the money we won back out of the principal because we would have 0 money had I not pushed. And he said, we don't have to do the rules the same as DraftKings. And I said, so you're a hypocrite. And he said, no, we just don't.
Right.
So we had just been going back and forth all morning. So I want to read you the arguments and I want you to tell me who is correct here. I said, my bet hitting 9 times compared to your 8 should just be considered better. And I said, well, you have lost 3 more times. And on my pushes, had everyone else hit when I pushed, we at least would have won some money. And you have actively ensured that we won $0 more than anybody else in the group. Your 14 losses means we definitely could not have won more times than anybody else has lost. And he says, and on my 9 wins, we would have won money. And then I said, we still could have won money on my pushes. Less money, yes. But I don't think a single person in here would argue that less money is worse than no money.
Correct. You're right. You're right on this.
Okay. I know I am. Oh, I know. But he is insistent. And then he said, worse record means nothing to me. Winning the most money is what matters. And we should not be rewarding pushes when someone has hit more than you. If we tie in bets, I agree. At the point, we could look at pushes. I said, if winning money is what matters to you, then you should acknowledge that my push, the reason we did not lose, is the only reason we have any winnings the entire season. And he said, but even then you're not winning. You're just creating risk and costing us money. And I said, what do you mean? Like, it's been that like that all morning. And I think his argument is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I don't even know the point of his argument. But that has been my fight because they want to say like that my record is the worst, which like the record doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just a record, but it's just like I'm like baffled and just mad at how he could even think that. And so I'm just arguing it for the sake of like logic's sake at this point, because it's ridiculous. Like I was saying, while you're frozen, the record doesn't even matter. I am arguing just for the logic sake of it, because what he's saying doesn't make any fucking sense, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I know. I'm aware. It's an insane thing that I don't get. Like, in what like. I got me so riled up when I was texting back and forth this morning in the group chat. Like they were sending like popcorn emojis of like Michael Jackson in the theater. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
they love that.
Oh, it's so brain dead. And I think my perfect argument is if you think a push should count as a loss, let's send the money back, because that's the principle we want to live by. And you saying that, oh, we don't have to
send
live the same
DraftKings some more
thing.
money. They'll appreciate it.
You saying, oh, well, we don't have to believe the same as DraftKings. Sure, but then we should live by the principles and we shouldn't take that hypocritical money, right? Surely, if that's the argument you're making. So that has been my battle of the morning, along with cleaning my room, which has gotten really bad. And I
can't imagine doing that. Rat list is when dentist, doctor, whoever sends you a bill and you can't like pay it online. So I have like this.
What?
I owe the dentist like $45.
Sure.
And they send me like the thing, and like you're supposed to like send them a check back, or you have to go in. Who has check? Do you have checks?
No.
I know people that are not our age do have checks, but like people our age and younger will not get checks. They will not have a checkbook. They won't.
No.
They will send you money on Venmo. They'll pay it on Zelle, like they'll wire it to you, whatever. Nobody is going to use checks. If you're a business and you want somebody to pay you money, you cannot make it hard for the person to pay you money. Don't make it hard for me. I don't want to give you the money. Don't make me have to fucking jump through hoops to give up my money. But I'm pretty sure this one has like I can fill out my card stuff and give it back to them, and they will be able to charge me, which is fine.
That's sus too, though.
No,
they give them your card information. Okay. So
they have your card information most times, anyways.
Then why don't they just do it?
Well, because it's a new dentist.
Oh, I see.
Hey, a new dentist.
I see.
Any place that's like sending me something in the mail where I have to send them something back, This is like when I wanted to get the vanity license plate of like Rocky Point, and it was like, you have to send us money and we're a nonprofit. Like, if you're a nonprofit and you want people to give you money, you can't make it hard for people to give you money because nobody's going to give you money.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think I have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Final rat list. Rat list is playing basketball after being in bed for a week, sick. So I actually was like sick for the whole week.
Yeah.
Never happens. But I did play men's league yesterday. My men's league game went a lot better than I thought it would. I played my best offensive game of the season. I made a lot of shots that I didn't really anticipate making, like just kind of played well. I played decent defense. I didn't play defense the way I'd like to have been able to play defense, but I just physically wasn't capable. But we were down 3 with probably like 20 seconds left or something like that. And I get an open look from 3, and I shot and missed, and I knew I was going to miss when I went up because I had no legs left. I hate playing with jelly legs, and that was where it caught me. I finally felt the effects of being in bed for a week, not being able to train when I had a shot to tie the game. Tough. The Tatum 3 is good shoe. Tatum 3, very good shoe.
Okay.
More durable version of the 1, still very light. I was very pleased. I put them on. I went out there to warm up and dribble and shoot around and everything, and I was like, holy shit, I feel like $1 million.
Good to know.
The 2 is not a good shoe. Don't buy the 2s,
No?
buy the 3s.
Oh, I like the 2s. I don't mind the 2s.
I hate the 2s. I love the 1s, hate the 2s, love the 3s.
All right. Well, there you go. There's your Tatum shoe review to end the day. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to Bout Them Celtics, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, tell us what you thought of Celtics Warriors. You can also hit the bell. Jack and I are here every single day with new content. Full pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps over the morning after each game. And other videos are on the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can also find us streaming half hour before every single game. Pre-game is live. Come hang out. It's a ton of fun. You can find us on Spotify and Apple as well. All pods and recaps are up there for you. So if you like the audio versions, go ahead and follow. They'll go right to your feed. Leave a 5-star review. We would appreciate that very much. It does help us reach more people. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We'll be reading the emails again on Wednesday when we record for Thursday. So get them in by then, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. TikTok is back. And Facebook is just the name of the podcast. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is at JacksMoneyNBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.